Good afternoon, good evening, good night, and the best one, good morning, everybody. This is my 8th video. It is a couple of days late, but that's what it is. I've decided to pick a less controversial or hot topic, so nice safe one. I'm going to talk about aquarium fish today. I have aquarium fish as a hobby. Most people have a fish tank or as such, but I got into it. Well, it grew and grew basically. So I started off with one fish tank originally with my girlfriend at the time, and we were introduced to the person who sold us the fish at the time. It was a guy, he was the manager of the shop, and he was almost eccentric, very odd, but a very genuine, warm sort of personality, and I tend to gravitate to those sorts of people most of the time. Actually, no, I don't. Who am I kidding? He was just a great bloke. So he suggested that we come along to his aquarium club fish meeting. And at the time, we were like, whoa, does this even exist? Like, people actually get together and talk about fish? Like, this is goldfish normally, and other fish. But yeah, there's a whole world out there that no one even really knows about. And yeah, so goldfish, you have tropical fish, and African cichlids is another sort of large group of fish. So I eventually got into my African cichlids, but my all-time favorite is the common guppy, which is a whole another story, another video. So we started with this 3-foot fish tank, and then that grew to about 6 tanks over 6 months. And then we eventually moved into our own house, which was a rental, but I converted an area for the fish tanks. And then when we eventually got our own house, I allocated 2/3 of the 3-car garage that we had to a fish room. Yeah, an actual fish room. So I made a fish room and filled it full of tanks. And over time I built up the hobby, turned into a paying hobby. So I had 80 fish tanks in this particular, in my fish room, and that's 80, is it 80, not 8, but 80. A lot of tanks and a lot of fish. And yeah, it was paid for itself, and I was able to reinvest most of the money that I did actually earn from selling off the little babies that I bred, because you breed the fish to make the money, and that perpetual helps fund the hobby as such, which makes it even more fun because I was never doing it to make money, but it was good to be able to invest it. So because I was in the actual fish club and fairly active, I eventually took a committee role, so I did the treasurer gig for a couple of years, and then, like most clubs, it always sort of falls down to those skeleton few people that are the core of the club. So I eventually took up the role as president and did that for a number of years as well. And yeah, so in this fish club, heavily involved. And they also did their own fish show. So there are actually fish shows that you can go along to and attend. There are only where I was in Brisbane, Queensland was only 4 a year. So we did our own, and it was that's a whole nother experience, learning upsetting. But yeah, people show fish, you set up a fish tank for about a week, and then they get judged on all sorts of different, well, not all sorts of criteria, but yeah, a criteria you'd never really think about unless someone took the time to explain it to you. But people show fish, and for no other reward than just the pleasure of letting other people enjoy the type of fish. So I found myself buying all sorts of different random fish just to put on display so people could see it. So I had different things like blue marron, electric crayfish, to little clown loaches, to massive goldfish, to I had a giant black shark that I got once. And it was literally like this big. Like actually this big, not like this big. Yeah, so I got a lot of fun memories, enjoyed it. I did have 2 or 3 fish tanks in the house, but yeah, it's funny how things work out. I have a stand in my garage now which has about 4 4-foot fish tanks, which I don't really need, but I just couldn't help myself, so I've got them. But yeah, I'll have to get rid of those soon. But my favourite fish that I've kept is actually a common guppy, and it's interesting because my first guppy was one I caught out of a local creek, and I gave it to my grandma to look after when I was on school holidays, and bless her heart, it actually died in her care. So she went out and bought me a whole new little fish tank, all the rocks and all the stuff that goes with it, and probably spent about $50 or $100 at the time. And this was like a fish that I caught out of a local creek, so I did pretty well. But that's pretty much where I was hooked at that point. I just liked aquarium fish, and the whole guppy thing was just stuck. And yeah, there's actually people now that import guppies from overseas, that you just can't get these sorts of guppies in Australia. So that's another story. I've got a lot of stories. I've got so much to give and share. Random. In fact, this is almost 5 minutes, but the last biggest thing is I actually made the front page of the Courier Mail in Queensland once with a fish story. Like, wow, who would have even thought? That's a story for another time. Thanks for listening. This is probably my longest one, 5 minutes. So hope everyone's having an amazing day, because I'm feeling pretty good now. It's good to be good, feeling good. See ya.